Okay, we are live.
Hi.
Hello, Keira.
Hi.
So I'm here on this lockdown lesson on our Ashdown Jones page with Keira Evans. Now, Keira runs a very successful online business. She's been running it for 8 years, despite having a toddler and is it a 9-year-old, Keira?
9-year-old, yeah.
You started off when your 9-year-old was one.
Yeah, yeah,
That's how good my maths are. And it's so what I'm going to ask you to do is explain what it is that you do,
yeah.
and then we're going to talk about possibly the opportunity that this situation has given us all to maybe start or develop an online business. So tell us a little bit about you and your business, Keira.
So my business is Pretty Little Vintage. So I'm an international antiques dealer, which I still can't believe that I can say that to people because that isn't how it started at all. So I ship mainly fine china all around the world, predominantly to the Far East, Australia, America. Um, but yeah, it wasn't how it
That's
started.
impressive. Where are you based? I feel like you should be in like a Savile Row kind of shop to do that. But you're not, are you?
Yeah,
You're at home.
yeah, not my son's bedroom right now.
So, like many busy parents and working from home parents, you're probably struggling right now with trying to find a quiet space to work from, and the
Yeah,
headspace too.
yeah, I am. I am definitely finding it quite difficult. Escaping the 22-month-old is not easy, but there are ways that that the boys, my children, do know that I'm working.
Oh,
So
that's good.
just getting dressed in the morning and putting makeup on, they know that I mean business.
That's a good point, isn't it? So,
Yeah,
actually, your demeanor when you're in front of them tells them that you're working. That's a really good tip, actually. So,
yeah,
so you've run Pretty Little Vintage for 8 years, but as you said, it started off very low levels, and it started off with a birthday present. I think you said.
yeah. On my 30th birthday, my mum gave me a teacup and saucer, and I loved it. And I lived in a really lovely cottage in the Yorkshire Dales, and I thought I want four more to go, or 4 or 5 more. So I started kind of trawling charity shops and picking up tea sets and thinking, well, I only want one out of that whole tea set. So I'd sell them to my friends. So my friends like, oh, these are amazing. Can you get me a couple more? And with my old job, I was traveling quite a lot. So I was finding it easy to pick up. And it just snowballed from there. And
Wow.
what started to be like wanting to sell just locally and on the kind of Facebook pages ended up being just international. Really, I seldom sell to people local. It mainly goes abroad. So
And it's
yeah, it
because
completely changed.
there's obviously a set of investors in fine china and fine silver. I think what you said, silverware. Is that right?
Not so much silverware, but
Right.
it's a little bit, yeah.
As you can see, I'm at the limit of my understanding here, so I'm pretending I know what I'm talking about. So let's say fine china across the world, there's probably like an upper elite of those collectors, and if you were just to rely on the upper elite in the UK, there wouldn't be enough of them to make the market as point as it is. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I was just based in UK, then if I didn't have international shipping, I would not be where I am now at all.
Right. Good point. Yeah, good point. So you've really had to go where the money is and the
Yeah,
demand is.
yeah,
And I think that's a good lesson for everybody, really.
yeah,
So what we're going to talk about in this session is really how to either set up or run and develop an online business. And I think what's important right now is at the moment, some of us have the time. We're sitting at home with our laptop. Our mind's probably working on overdrive. Some of us might be thinking, actually, our my job is not the secure place I thought it was. Maybe your employer has disappointed you with the way that they've handled the situation, or maybe thinking, do you know what? This is a massive wake up call. Now's the time for me to do something different. It could be that they're already running an online business and they're thinking, right, I need to up my game, or that their business is only offline, like a shop, and they're thinking, actually, I'd really like to add an online component. So there's a few different scenarios here, and we are going to cover the idea of actually working from home because usually online businesses, in essence, are working from home, which gives you flexibility. but we're also talking about being lean and agile, aren't we, in this difficult,
Yeah.
challenging time? Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, to start off with setting up a business, I mean, I find this a perfect opportunity. Um, I am on lockdown with my partner, so he's currently downstairs entertaining the boys, which is amazing. And I'll probably do an hour up here. So you have to kind of grasp this, see this as an opportunity when there's so much negativity going around, especially when it's so local. You witness things so local. See it as an opportunity and grasp it. When starting up the business, I think it's important just to begin with to kind of sit down, take an hour, sit down and think about your expectations. When I thought about Pretty Little Vintage, I didn't at all consider that I would be predominantly shipping abroad. And the clients that I had, I didn't ever consider these type of people would be my clients. I thought it was just going to be local. But be flexible with your expectations. I think you have to consider what your income is. How are you going to do this? How are you going to get your income? And also with your clients, consider if you're going online, you're opening up to the whole world. So with me, a steep learning curve was time differences, language barriers, those type of things. Even social stance. A lot of people will get their servants to pay me, which is just a common thing in Thailand and in other countries that I ship to. I think you have to, it's a steep learning curve, but imagine who your end client is going to be, because eventually you could use the social media platform to actually target those people as well, which I'm sure you're covering your
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram things.
Just on that, knowing your audience, I think that is a really good point, because everybody's got their own audiences, and usually if I'm talking about ideal client, people go, yeah, but I could sell to anybody and everybody. And the problem with that is that if unless you've got an unlimited marketing budget, like Coca-Cola, you can't really target everybody. So knowing your market, I think, is exceptionally important. And if you're going to have a small budget and a small amount of time to spend on them, you may as well go for the top of the market, because that's where the money is. And in a time like this, I think it's fair to say that a market like yours will be less tough.
Yeah.
Very inexpensive widgets.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to be flexible with your expectations. So I didn't start, as I've mentioned, I didn't start this thinking I'd come to this, but I've been flexible during the development of Pretty Little Vintage. I thought I'd have a website by now. Now I did, but in actual fact, it works so much better for me off social media. And the type of buyers I have now are dealers within other countries, and they expect that face-to-face contact. So we use WhatsApp a lot. So what I say on the website, so I actually can pick up on WhatsApp and dealing with people that way, because they expect, when they're spending the money they're spending, they expect that face-to-face type of dealing. So I think it's important to be open to change and market towards your ideal buyer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and know your ideal buyer. Be really clear on that. I think that's a really, really good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was number one. Know your buyer, wasn't it? I think we've got 5 tips. Is that what you said?
Yeah. See your space.
Okay, go ahead.
So I mean, it's important for me. I'm laughing because I'm actually sat in my my eldest's bedroom right now.
I thought
I
you
can hear
sat in the bathroom now. You're sat in a bedroom, thank goodness. Okay.
yeah, no, I'm sat in the bedroom. But set your space. I think it's important to have an office. Normally I do, but my toddler was a bit of a surprise, so he currently lives in the office. We're working on that. But also set your times as well. A clock is so important, but be kind to yourself. Russo, the toddler, he is demanding. He isn't easy. He does obviously right now want my full attention all the time. So I might just target myself an hour a day, or an hour before lunch, and then an hour when he has his nap, and then an hour when he's gone to bed. But prioritize. A clock is so important.
That's really good actually to say that, because I don't know about you, but when my kids were little, because I started my business when my kids were all under 10, I had 3, and I felt like I was either doing a really bad job of being a mum or a really bad job of being at work. And I never seemed to, I was trying to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
And as soon as I learned to block off my time and go, right, this is mum time, and now this is work time, and actually I stopped feeling as guilty and I was much more productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so, I feel that I was being torn initially with when the baby was very young. I felt like I was being torn, and I think it's important to be kind and also be honest to my buyers. Tell them, you know, I've just had a baby, just, you know, I will get around to it. Prioritize as well, make a list. My diary every day is just lists of my priorities to achieve. Sometimes it isn't important for me to wrap things to get them sent because they're not in a rush, so they're okay there for a week or a couple of days, and I will vocalize that to the buyers, and they're happy with that. But there are other things like my books and everything else that I need to do, so it's prioritizing. Also, I found the important thing, obviously because I sell stock, is to actually hide the stock away. Have a stock room. We actually hire a warehouse, a unit, and have it out of the house, so that when you finish work, it is myself, my partner, and my children, and it's mum's left work now, and I can't see it. Now, there are my sets and my personal collection around the house, and sometimes stock does sneak in if I just look at it for a little while and then sell it on. But I think it's important to not live amongst your stock. So if that makes sense, because you see and you see it, and you know, you might be sat down at 9 o'clock at night with your partner and you can't switch off because you can see it. And I look at things and I think, right, that tea set would look really good with that old book, or to take a photograph with those flowers, and I can't switch off, so I have to block it all off.
And you don't want to resent, do you, your stock? Marion, who I'm not sure if she's watching, but good friend of mine who's been coming to the Sam Club for a while, and she was running a business from home. And I remember going into, I think it was her conservatory or her dining room, and it was absolutely piled high. And I thought, you know, what does her partner feel about this? I mean, if you've got no choice, you've got no choice, you know, needs most of it. But if you're trying to make a plan for making this a sustainable option for you, then to have one room completely taken over by stock probably isn't healthy for anybody, and it's not healthy for the way that you live in the house, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I can't do it with fine china with a 22-month-old running around.
Full in a china shop, toddler in a china shop.
I mean, I do find it funny that he picks up teacups now and just looks underneath them. And you think, he can't say mum.
I probably should have got my china out, although my china would not be fine, but it's not a hurdy mug, but there you go. I feel like you need to be drinking tea now.
Yeah, I can sell you a cup.
Okay, so number 1 was know your client. Number 2 is set your space. What's number 3, Keira?
It's network. So I think it's really important to network when you're working from home on your own. I appreciate that people might be watching this and then thinking about starting a home business, you know, mums like me. It is daunting working from home on your own. It can be quite lonely. All you do is your work and then the children and home life. I think it's so important to network. So like your marketing group, I think it's important to join things like that, but also stay in contact with people in similar businesses, because whatever you're experiencing with regards to problems, they'll be experiencing it too. And I mean, don't see them as, ultimately they are competition, but don't see them as a problem. Competition is healthy. You know, they might come up with a suggestion that's got them over a problem if you can kind of just make friends and make sure you socialize and network, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what you're saying is then, if you're going to run an online business, then there may be, you may feel there's little worth in having a physical network nearby, but actually that can just help you from a work from home perspective and your sanity and, you know, getting out and having coffee with people when we can. But from an international perspective, maybe something like, I think you run a Facebook group, don't you? Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. I run China dealers in the UK. So there's a select, I think there's about 25 members, and they're all dealers from the UK that do very similar to me. But we have the same problems, shipping and customs, and come up with suggestions. And it's just kind of a voicing block, because it can seem a bit daunting on your own, and you think, am I doing this right? Or am I do other people do it like this? And it's a voicing block, and it just makes you feel less isolated. So I
Yeah.
think it's important to kind of take opportunities when they're presented to you. I've ended up going for dinner and lunch and meeting up with people that I've only actually ever known them on business online, for a few years, but I've only actually ever met them the once, and that's been quite recently. But
I think that's a really good point. And actually, there's a book about this, and you'll hear me say this quite a lot, Keira, as you get to know me. I think it's called something like Never Eat Alone. I'll look it up when we're talking. And it's all about just making sure that using every opportunity to meet as many people as you possibly can, and to get to know, them and their businesses, because ultimately that is going to help you. That might not be your defining factor at first, but it will certainly be a byproduct of it. The more people you help and the more people you meet, the better and more healthy your business is going to be as a result of it.
Yeah, I think also the other important point, before I forget, is tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If there's anyone watching that has some tea sets and they think, God, they're so nice, what shall I do with them? Contact me. So, tell everybody what you do, and be proud of it as well. So don't waste an opportunity, because you should never judge a book by its cover. So, you never know.
And the amount of people I know, particularly, and no jokes, please, estate agents, quite often, if you go on their personal profiles, it doesn't mention anywhere that they're an estate agent or who they work for. And by the way, Keira is also in our industry as well. So you'll know what I mean by this. But quite often they don't put that on their personal profile, do they? I'm very proud to do what I do, but not everybody is. And if you're not proud of it, then how can you expect anybody to know what you do? And I think you need to have a really clear way of telling people. So when you do go out for lunch with them or coffee with them, you need to be able to explain in a very simple way. I need to be able to explain what Keira Evans does, so that if I'm talking to somebody else, I can go, oh, it's me to be teapots, or do I go, she deals internationally in fine china? There's a big difference between those two things. So you need to be able to elucidate what you actually do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as well, the last point on this would probably be get out. Make sure you get out. So leave your house, even if it's overwhelming. Get out and network. So for me, it's going around the antique centres, the charity shops, just getting out. So I know that's not that's just specific for my business. It might not be specific for others, but just getting out and talking to people, let people know that you're there.
Well, I think the problem with or one of the challenges of an online business is quite often you're just facing a screen morning, noon, and night. And if you haven't got kids at home anymore, like I haven't now, my kids are grown and flown, then I could just spend 16 hours a day just staring at my screen, and I would slowly go mad. Some people would say, oh, it's already happened. So if I can get out and about and just enjoy nature and just get out of my own head, I always feel better when I come back. And as well, if you've got a problem, if you're looking at a screen, you're not going to find the problem looking at a screen. You're going to find the problem talking to other people and getting out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was set your space, wasn't it? Hang on, am I getting the right order? Network. Sorry, that was network, wasn't it?
Sorry.
Number 4 is a good one. I'm going to enjoy this one.
Know your worth.
Yeah.
So, I think this is so important. I used to work for Mars, actually, and they taught me this. This was quite an important one. I suppose work out your profits. So with me, if I buy something, I might buy well, I might not buy well. And how long is it going to take me to sell that? So how long is it going to take me to wrap it, advertise it, then deal with the kind of negotiation, and then wrap it, take it and get it dropped off to be shipped, etc. When I break that down into hourly, how much profit am I making per hour? So know your worth. Is it really, when people start negotiating with you, arguing about prices, stuff like that, if you're only making I don't know, plucking a figure here, a tenner. Is it really worth arguing about this for so long? It may not be worth it. So I think it's so important to know your worth.
And there's a few levels of that, aren't there, really, about knowing your worth? Because there's a lot of coaches and consultants out there that sell advice and not things. And, you know, they're pricing themselves so low. I was talking to a lovely photographer recently. I'm not sure if he's watching and I won't name him, but he was talking about doing photography tours for sort of, you know, 20, 30, 40 pounds and trying to get 20 people on it. And I said, well, surely better just take one person and charge them 250. It's going to be more enjoyable for both of you. You've got no marketing costs with one person or far fewer. So I think that just knowing your own worth, what you are actually worth, you know, and not even breaking it down into hours, but actually charging something that makes sense for you, for the experience and expertise you're bringing to the party. I think that's something a lot of work from home businesses struggle with their confidence.
Yeah, I mean, mine's history. I consider what I'm selling is history, parts of history. It's irreplaceable. So it's not going to go cheap.
You are such an expert. You know what something's worth. You know what that beautiful rare piece is worth. How many people in the world can say they know what that's worth? I wouldn't have a clue. 99.9% of people wouldn't have a clue. So you need to sell that expertise, and that's how you make your money, isn't it? By knowing what something's worth and be able to buy well and sell higher. Because ultimately you are an advisor in that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good one. I like that one. Know your worth. And number 5.
Self-care is so important because you can get yourself into a bit of a rut. So it's so important to turn off as well. So on my social media after 8 o'clock at night, you get a notification if you message me saying that I won't be available until 8 o'clock the next morning. It's so important to turn off. Also, I have down here, keep an eye on the competition, but don't obsess. It's important to follow fashion. And you can see that with other pages, you know, something they might post might start doing well and you think, oh, I've got a few of those. And it's important to keep your eye on it, but don't obsess just because they seem to be doing well. Good for them, you know, but keep your eye on your goal. Enjoy what you're doing and be proud, as I hope you can get from this. I'm so passionate about teacups and I still laugh when I say it because they're just teacups, but they're very lovely. But I'm so passionate about it, and everyone around me and everyone who knows me knows that it's important. If you are home, then important to enjoy what you're doing. Sorry, Sam, can you see me? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Also, be kind to yourself. I think that's so important. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay. I think we're still broadcasting. We'll carry on as if we are. It may
Sam,
be.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Oh, can't hear you.
No.
It's important to be kind to yourself. If it goes wrong, then just continue to do what you're doing, because one day it will go right. So be kind and remember why you're doing it as well. So for me, it's my children and the life I live. So I can be at home with my children. So it's so important. So be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up if it goes wrong, and reward yourself no matter how little it is. If you get your job list done, then make sure that you get that coffee or you buy that scented candle or whatever it may be. So make sure you do that.
Oh, that's lovely.
I think that's it.
Can you hear me okay now?
I can't hear you, Sam, sorry.
Okay. See if you can read my lips. Tell us about your offer.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Right, well, I'll tell them your offer, which is that Keira would like to offer anybody a 30-minute free consultation to have a chat with her about getting your online business set up. So if that's something that would be of interest to you, get in touch with Keira. We'll make sure all her details are on the post. But thank you very much for watching, everybody. I know Facebook is having some issues at the moment with live streaming because obviously everybody's doing it. So I really appreciate Keira's time. Even though she can't hear me, I'll let her know offline. And I will catch you on tomorrow. No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll catch you on tomorrow's lockdown lesson. So thank you very much, everybody.